everybody, and welcome to AI People. Today, we're talking to Chinar Movsisyan, who is the CEO and founder at Feedback Intelligence, which is an analytics tool for LLM-powered products. Greetings, Chinar.
Thank you so much, Ben. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So the first kind of few questions we always kick off the show is asking you to make a few predictions about the AI industry as a whole, because I know everybody loves making predictions about AI. So the first one is, how will humans and AI collaborate in terms of work in 5 years' time and in 15 years' time?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Very hard to predict. I mean, it's yeah. So what I'm seeing here, human and AI collaboration is going to be very much effective. So I don't think it's going to be just replace everything, but make everything effective. Help humans be effective, be more productive, do things faster and more accurate, all of these things. So I do think that in the next few years, we will see more like ROI on that when we push these AI solutions to production.
Okay, and where do you think we are in regard to the kind of progress towards AGI? Yeah. Do you think that's something nearby or still kind of 20 years away?
It depends on how we define AGI. What is AGI? AGI means we have one. If the definition is AGI is one super model, only one. It knows everything, everyone, and it can learn by itself, just being outside there. Users are using, and it is being learned. I wouldn't say that's the case. I would say in the next few years, we will see more powerful models, general models like ChatGPT. Right now, it's super good. Recently, they released this image generation, image creation, which is great. And it's not diffusion model anymore, like language model creates that image, which is great. So in that regard, I do see that one by one, we'll see more powerful, good models, accurate models, also small models, open weight models, which will help others to use those models for use case specific, for domain specific problems, meaning they just need to add some data. Like, for example, let me give an example so it will be easier to understand. Maybe in a company, policy is changing, and it is not maybe. Of course, like everything is changing, and while in the company policy is changing, they have to introduce those changes in the form of data to this LLM, so it has the updates, right? So with this, what I'm seeing in the next few years, we will see more models, accurate models, really good models. And also we will see open weight models, and we will be able to use that for domain specific use cases. That's kind of what I'm feeling about the market shift.
Yeah, okay. And how do you see the kind of shifts that we're going through in AI at the moment as reshaping the global economy? Do you think we're going to see more wealth inequality, or do you think it's going to narrow gaps in opportunity so more kind of people can get more of the pie?
That's a good question, and it's hard to predict. I think at the moment, like I can see like some people are saying we're gonna have only 2 working days, which is like kind of possible because it will be AI will help us to be more productive. It doesn't mean that we will not do our job. We'll do, but with AI, with help of AI. I can give an example again. My every day, what I do some research around like market. I draft some LinkedIn posts, post that on LinkedIn, and with help of LLM like ChatGPT, I do that very easily. So I can ask, it will draft for me those like bullet points. So instead of spending 4 hours, I'll spend just 1 hour and I'll get it done. which is great. And it doesn't mean that it replaces me. No, what it does, it helps me. It makes me more productive, so I can use my other time for other things. So with this, I do think that this is a opportunity for people rather than just replace humans, etc.
Yeah, okay. And the AI industry as a whole loves a hot piece of news. I think more than any other kind of area of the technology industry. What is the kind of piece of news over the last couple of weeks or the last month that's really caught your attention?
I do see more use cases. Like every day, I spend like at least an hour to find new people on LinkedIn, meet them, or just go out there. I live in San Francisco, to events and everything. I do see more use cases. So before we knew that AI is being used in some verticals, right now it's everywhere, from healthcare to death care to insurance to fintech to like this is a huge expansion, like massive expansion. Still we have to work, like it doesn't mean that adoption is there, it doesn't mean that it's accurate, it doesn't mean that everything is perfect, but I do see that use cases, or like number of use cases where AI will be being used is unlimited. Like anything you can think of, AI can be there.
Yeah, it kind of feels to me a little bit like when the internet started and everybody's thinking of like new websites for like, the smallest like little niche, and it feels like we're at that same kind of point now.
Yeah.
So before we start talking about feedback intelligence, could you just give us a little introduction about yourself? Kind of interested in your background, your experience growing up, like what got you into coding in the first place, and what led you to becoming a founder?
So yeah, I was born and grew up in Armenia. I started my career from applied mathematics and informatics. As since childhood, I loved digits, just solve complex problems with math, all of that. I ended up there. And then during that undergrad, I was always curious, okay, this math is great, how we can apply that to industry, specific verticals like healthcare or let's say agriculture, all of that. And because of that, it was like 8 years ago, I started doing research around like data science, what is neural network, what kind of networks are there. At that time, it was like YOLO era, computer vision models. Everyone, like computer vision engineers, they know that well. Or AlexNet, like super early days of this everything. I studied that, and then I did masters in information technologies, then another master's in computer science and systems at Grenoble University in France. At that time, I had a chance to work with De facto Technologies. It's a company, EDA company, where I was the first hire to use AI to analyze the security level of chip designs before producing those chip designs. So I had a chance to interact. I had a chance to put AI on FPGA, like chip design, this EDA world. After that, started doing a PhD in machine learning in healthcare, cardiovascular problems, identification and classification, supervised by a professor, distinguished computer vision professor from New York City University. So in total, I have delivered more than 10 AI solutions from A to Z, like from data collection, data preparation, model building, from architecture level, and then deployment in production, and then maintenance. So I know this whole spectrum of AI development. And the idea starting a startup was, okay, what I have seen in my experience working in these companies or research labs, and what I am seeing as a next step for this like market, what is the problem that is going to be emerging in the next few years? And for me, it was making AI useful. What does it mean? It means at pre-production, before putting that in real world AI, we can get really good results, 100% accuracy. But once it goes to production, do we have any data-driven feedback loop to understand how it is being used? are users, customers happy about that or not?
Which takes us nicely on to feedback intelligence. So
Yeah.
do you want to just kind of introduce kind of what the company does and kind of, your approach to the market?
So in short, super short, what feedback intelligence does, it is the amplitude for LLM products. So I think the audience, we know amplitude well, or any traditional product analytics tool like Mixpanel, Panda, Full Story. Now, why this should be in this whole AI development landscape? Before, it was all about, you mentioned about internet, it was about point and click interfaces. So you would open a URL, web application, you would click, use it. Now it's changing to conversational AI. So conversational AI is becoming the front door to any enterprise workflow. You talk to product, Figma AI, Notion AI, all these like chat conversational experiences, interfaces are becoming the layer between users and existing products. With this change, I saw that the old playbook to know how these like products are being used is not working, meaning user is not pointing, clicking anymore, but they are talking. So we need to understand, analyze, discover this like natural language interaction, which is a gold. Like it has so much information about customers, demographics, their needs, expectations, and also about our product, about like what are the upsell moments, why company users are using this product, what they are asking for. So these questions are critical, I saw, and traditional old school mechanism is not working here. Thumbs up, thumbs down. It's a super limited information, bias no one wants to give, or surveys. Like, do you want to ask for a survey after each conversation? No one will
really
do that.
Yeah.
So what you can do, you need to analyze that hidden language, hidden signals in the language, meaning how they ask, the nuances, semantics, or intent, what user wants to get out of that, and then use that information to derive metrics that is important to your business, to your use case. So that's where we come in. We create a new category. We shift this analytics category, expand it, meaning this is not only about traditional point and click interface, but more natural language, conversational AI interface.
And obviously feedback is highly subjective, and context dependent. Like, so how do you handle sentiment analysis and kind of context analysis?
Yeah, very good question. That's kind of the whole challenge that we faced while developing this tool. The goal was to understand the context, the intent of user in the conversation itself. So you cannot judge what user wants just looking at the one interaction, one question, one prompt, but you have to like check the whole conversation to understand the context. What is the context of this conversation? And then derive whether their intent is met or not, whether they are happy or not, satisfied, or whether the output of AI is helpful, correct, empathy, all of these metrics, what they care about, it comes how good we understand the context of the conversation.
And in terms of like your experience, you mentioned it's kind of a new category that you're kind of creating. So when you're talking to customers, I guess there's, like an education piece, about kind of explaining what you're doing. They may not even be aware that they kind of have the problem, and you kind of have to kind of walk them towards that. Like, what's that experience been like, kind of educating these customers?
Oh yeah, that was a it is hard. I mean, like a year ago, 10 months ago, when I was pitching this to customers, they were telling me that thumbs up, thumbs down is enough. And then they they got back to me saying, have you developed anything? They saw that thumbs up, thumbs down is not enough. It still requires so much manual work. Education piece is there, definitely. I post on LinkedIn. I try to have at least 2 posts about the problem, not the product we are building, but the problem, like why this is an important piece, what kind of impact this has. And one thing that I want to mention, yesterday I had a call with one of the largest companies where they have a successful co-pilot in production, and they did develop some analytics. He called it AI analytics internally. It is not a general solution, but they saw that they need to develop something to be able to successfully manage this co-pilot. Yeah. So I would say that there are people, they think about this and either they buy, but I also have seen that people have tried to buy, but they couldn't find a solution that fits, because no one knows what is the solution yet. Like we are still shaping this. We have changed the tool we have developed so much, like every week we were changing, like this is how it should be, because we are creating something new from zero. This is not known thing.
I don't know if it's, just talking from like my own perspective, but just as a customer, I feel like there'd be quite a willingness to kind of provide feedback. And, I don't think I'd want to fill out a survey like every time I use GPT, but like when it goes wrong, I want to be able to give more guidance to the model about why it's doing it wrong, because I think as a customer, you want it to work. Like, there's kind of a willingness, which perhaps there isn't like with some other products. I don't know, because it's more of that human interaction, you kind of want it to help it and make it work and do what you want.
Yeah, that's a very good point, in fact, yeah.
So like feedback loops are often quite an iterative process. Like how does the feedback intelligence platform kind of enable that kind of iteration to kind of work for customers?
The core of this everything we developed is understanding, qualifying, and quantifying the context of any interaction. User interacts LLM product, a copilot, agent, voice or chat assistant. We kind of sit in between and listen to that conversation and tell what's happening. What is the context? What user wants? How AI output, whether AI output is aligned with their needs or not, and why it is not. So this is how it works. Basically, we sit in between any conversation and we qualify and quantify that in the context, in that moment, what's happening.
And is the solution like purely automated, or is there a human in the loop?
Oh, no.
What kind of balance is there?
Yeah. Everything is automated, fully automated. So we have developed this, we call it Insights Engine, that does this whole like magic. What is it about? It contains 3 layers: NLP, it contains machine learning clustering, traditional one, and then it also contains LLM orchestration as well. Not one LLM, but a couple of LLMs debating with each other to come up with a decision. So it's a very, it is designed specifically for this problem, like with a couple of layers to be able to come up with analysis properly.
And if a company kind of doesn't go with this type of solution and tries to go, just with thumbs up, thumbs down, or something even more basic than that, like how is that holding them back? What's the kind of biggest limitations that they'll see as a business?
Interesting. What I'm seeing, these people do not, like companies just started to deploy LLM product in production, and they have few adoption, meaning they don't have 15K interactions every day, but they have less. They have like, I don't know, let's say 100 interactions. And for them, that thumbs up, thumbs down, or just looking into these like 100 interactions every day, maybe it is working at the moment, but I am seeing this like whenever they start scaling, like it's more than 1,000 interactions, they are like, no, we can't do this manually, because thumbs up, thumbs down still requires manual work. And how much manual work you can afford, it depends on your engineering, engineering, data science, product management, these people, like how many teams you have. Can you have that luxury of asking your engineers manually check interactions? No, that's not scalable at all. What I'm seeing, like they are feeling, oh no, this is a manual work and it is not scalable. We need to think about other solutions.
And you mentioned this is an kind of a category which is being formed like right now, kind of trying to figure out what the right solution to this would be. Like, how do you see kind of feedback management evolving over the next kind of 3, 4, 5 years, say? Like, where do you want to see it get to?
I do see that this is a critical piece, this new category, critical piece to close the loop of all AI development, this whole spectrum, just close the loop. That's the missing part, because we have evaluation, we have testing, we have observability that checks the health of AI systems. We have monitoring, fine. But then this, like what user needs, and this data, by the way, is not only for developers. This data, the output of the tool we have developed, is used by sales teams, is used by marketing teams, because they want to know the trends, how their customers are using their solutions. Are they happy or not? Or it is being used mainly by product managers, because this shapes their product roadmap directly. So with this change, I do see that this piece is going to be more emerging in the next few years, and alignment is going to be a problem. Alignment meaning we have to have a layer in any interaction, in any setting, in any form, to qualify and quantify whether it's aligned or not, whether that interaction is aligned or not. Otherwise, it will be chaos. Like if I am using Amazon Rufus AI, this shopping assistant, and it keeps giving me just anything it wants, I will not use that. Like, why I should use that? So that alignment is a critical part here in this whole like AI spectrum.
And I guess kind of emotional understanding and kind of intelligence is like a big piece of the puzzle as well. And I'm sure as AI develops and models develop, our approach to emotional intelligence will evolve as well. I mean, I'm interested, will an AI kind of ever know us kind of emotionally as well as a human would know us? Like, it's an interesting balance there, isn't it? That, how would AI understand empathy?
Exactly. By the way, we have a customer, they asked for that. They were like, we need to understand the empathy. That's a metric they care about a lot. And that's a feedback as well, right? That's a form of feedback they need for further decisions, whether it's a product decision, it's a improvement decision, or just knowing their customer base.
And what about predictive analytics? Like, would there be a point where you could kind of predict a customer is going to start to get frustrated if a conversation goes in a certain direction? Everybody's kind of thinking to the future with AI. I just don't know whether we get to that point.
That's an interesting, good point. We do not have anything around that in the platform at the moment, but that's kind of, again, form of feedback to some degree, and predicting what kind of feedback, implicit feedback, right? This is not about explicit feedback, but implicitly how user will continue behave with this in this interaction. It's an interesting module, and I don't know how it will be used. Maybe it will be used just proactively to be able to analyze the conversation proactively rather than after the fact. Maybe that's a case. So you can have alerts, hey, things are becoming worse. Just go and check why this is happening, something like that. But yeah, that's a good point. I think that's a thing that will be in this whole feedback user analytics category.
Yeah, and I guess it gives a company an opportunity to kind of change their approach to strategy. So rather than just kind of reacting to what customers are telling them, they can kind of, create new strategies based off their interactions. And in terms of the kind of multimodal side of things, at the moment, are you just working on text conversations, or you mentioned kind of computer vision was something you were interested in previously. Is kind of verbal conversation included in the platform, or is that kind of something you would add in the future?
We will add that in the future. At the moment, it's all about text, either voice transcripts or just pure chat conversation data.
Yeah, okay, so it's all text at the moment. And is it just kind of from those kind of interactive conversations, are you kind of drawing in kind of reviews and surveys and things like that as well, or is that kind of separate?
That's a good question. In fact, thumbs up, thumbs down is like we see that our customers have some data, like it's super limited, super small, like data, and we try to incorporate that in the whole, like at least visualization, just show that in the platform with corresponding these interactions. And in the algorithm, we have done some benchmarks where having that, how it will change the whole, like analyzing user feedback when implicit and explicit feedback, right? There are three options. Either you have only explicit feedback, thumbs down, and you need to understand why, or you don't have that thumbs down, you have only implicit, like feedback, meaning user changes their tone, semantics, or they say like, no, I didn't mean this. So it says already that it's a feedback. And then you have both. So this is kind of combination of having different kind of feedback forms, data forms. So we have tried to use that, and results were really good.
Yeah, okay. And in terms of the kind of process of building a new company in the AI industry, like if you could like take us back to those early days, like you mentioned, you kind of had the idea from having the problem really at previous companies that you were working with. So when you kind of realized this was something that you wanted to build and bring to life, what were the kind of first things that you did? Like, did you build like a rough dummy product like yourself initially, or was it kind of raising money initially? Well, what are the first steps that you took to kind of bring this to life?
That's a good question. What was that? I think based on my experience, starting from customers is always helpful. You can't just go and say, ask customers what you want, because sometimes they don't know what they want. You have to define for you some small problem that you see that exists in that space, in some space. After defining that, you have some ideas around that, and you talk to customers, only them, experts, customers, potential customers in different verticals, developing LLM AI, and you try to understand, do they have this problem, or they have this problem a bit different? And then you ask everyone, you get answers, and then you try to derive patterns. What is that overlapping thing around the problem that I defined, and why we should solve it? So this was kind of early days when we started. That was kind of just talk to everyone and ask. Not everyone, I mean, people who are building with LLMs, or like they are building AI. Yeah.
And how did you go about doing that? Was that just kind of friends in the industry, or are people kind of happy to give you their time and kind of have that conversation with you?
Yeah, so network is super important, definitely. we try to utilize everyone in our network, from school to university to work, everywhere. Like anyone on LinkedIn we saw we are connected, and or we have some connections, and they are relevant. We ask like, do you have 15 minutes to jump on a quick call? I'm trying to discover this. Just have this like all these conversations. And by the way, there is this book. It's called 4 Steps to the Epiphany, and they have this like the author mentions how that process goes, like customer discovery, validation, creation, product development, everything. That helped me a lot to kind of have these buckets, structure it. What is that first like step? Just go and talk to folks that are relevant to the problem you just defined.
Yeah, okay. And building a startup is often like a process just of overcoming one problem after another. Like what's the kind of biggest fire that you've had to put out so far that maybe you thought we're going to need a bigger hose like to put this one out?
You mean like what is the biggest challenge that we have faced so far?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everything is challenge.
Yeah.
Everything is a challenge, from customer discovery to validation, creation, product development, deployment, fundraising, everything. Like, but it's fun. Like, you try to
Fun
find
challenges, yeah.
yeah,
But it's just
yeah,
a kind of balanced set of challenges. Hopefully
yeah,
none kind of keeping you awake too late at night.
yeah.
And like the other thing is obviously go to market is
Mm,
changing hugely at the moment. You know, there's so many automation tools, so many research tools. You know, how do you approach getting your name
yeah.
out there and getting yourself in front of like your
Mm.
ICP?
I started to learn that, especially in this product, I have to post a lot about the problem on LinkedIn, on Medium, Substack, or go to events, have some speaking opportunities, share about this problem. So that's something that I do like every week, every day. I either post um, or talk about these things in the events, in person, in conferences. That's super important at the moment. This is kind of my inbound approach. And in terms of outbound, every day, again, at least 20 profiles that are relevant to this problem, the space. I connect on LinkedIn. I reach out, just, I want to trade insights. I want to trade insights. And that leads sales, that leads to active prospects, that leads to inbound as well. So this is my approach at the moment, at these early stages, where when you don't have the reputation yet, you don't have big names, you are still like working with those big names, those are not public, so you have to do these things. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And just to finish off, if there's any budding entrepreneurs in the AI industry listening, what's the kind of top piece of advice you would give them if they were thinking about some problem that they wanted to solve?
Yeah, start from customers. Just talk to them, potential, like not customers, but have a list of ideal profiles and talk to them every day. Everything is important, and derive signals from them, from each conversation, and be very flexible to do these like tweaks, turns. That will help you. Like, don't be stuck at one. Don't look for the solution around one dot. No, a lot of dots. Check, chase them, and then try to connect those things. That's important. Otherwise, at the moment, a lot is happening, a lot of problems, a lot of solutions. So yeah.
Easy to get lost. Okay. Well, it's been great having you on today, Chinar. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to reach you? Are you more active on LinkedIn or email, or
Very
what's the best way
active.
to reach you?
Very active. My inbox is always 0, so feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. Happy to talk, happy to trade insights. As I mentioned, I love talking to experts in the space.
Great stuff. Well, thank you for your time, and thank you to everybody watching, and stay tuned for the next episode of AI People coming soon.